Going on, Spider-Man fans? Today I'm going to be ranking all 11 Spider-Man and Venom movies. I've been working on this list all month and a bit in November. I've been watching all the Spider-Man movies, rewatching all the Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield movies, Tobey Maguire movies, and of course the Tom Holland movies. And then of course there's also Venom, which we got a new Venom Let There Be Carnage movie this year, and I did do sort of like a quicker review, but it was shorter, not as in depth. So and this will also be my first ranking of the Spider-Man movies, so I could just share my thoughts. And let me just say, for a point of reference, just so you know, everybody, this is Max Reviews. I'm Braden. But anyway, as a point of reference for these, I like all these movies. I think they're good. I think they're watchable. Even bottom of this list, I still think it has potential, and it's frustrating. It has good and bad. And even if the movie's lower, I still like it. I'll tell you when I really absolutely love the movies. But anyway, we should get started now. And in last place, unfortunately, is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I feel like this movie could be amazing. If it had done, it has so many great things in it, but it doesn't have enough amazing things in it. And it has so many problems that just bog it down for me, that if it had not had all those problems, I would love this movie. I would love it. The stuff in the beginning with Harry and Peter is great. All the relationships are great. Most of the interactions are great, but everything else doesn't really work. Like the Rhino, how Harry turns out Electro. I have very mixed feelings on Electro. He's going to be hard to do for my villains list, but it's really hard. I could see, every single movie on this list, I could see as somebody's favorite Spider-Man movie. I can so see that. Some people love the Andrew Garfield movies, and some people, this is their favorite because they buy into it. Some people absolutely love it, Tobey Maguire movies. Some people love Tom Holland, and some people like Tom Hardy as Venom. But this one, I just feel like it just doesn't work for me as well. It would if it didn't have as many problems in it. Okay, 10th place here is gonna be Venom. Now, I saw this for the first time, I don't know, probably in August this year, because Venom Let There Be Carnage was coming out, and I wanted to see this before I saw that one, and I wanted to know. People had either said this was the best or the worst, and some people loved it, some people hated it. I'm sort of in between. The first half, I don't really like that first half as much at all. But the second half, when you get Eddie and Venom together, as soon as they're together, the film is very entertaining because this is a great, buddy kind of movie now. Suddenly, just out of the blue, it's a buddy movie kind of thing. And it really is fun from then on, with them together just bantering. And Tom Hardy, he could do good just talking to himself kind of a thing. And so I think it's entertaining enough. But if you didn't have the Venom Tom Hardy thing, Venom and Eddie, if you didn't have them talking, this would be bottom. But since you have that entertainment value, that just brings it up for me. It's pretty fun. I think Venom looks really good whenever you actually see Venom. But the final battle, the villain, most of the other things in this movie just flop for me. So that's why it's not higher. 9th place here is going to be Spider-Man 3. This is another super frustrating movie for me because I think it has a bunch of great ideas and things, but it doesn't exactly executing them right, and it also makes a bunch of mistakes. Venom, I think, is really bad. He disappears for an hour, and then he comes back, and we get the Bully Maguire stuff, which I think some of it I can understand, but, the rest of it, no. I think Gwen Stacy shouldn't have been in the movie. It just brought more tension, more villains, and you don't need more to be better. But the ending relationships and the ending with Harry dying is really emotional. I'm fine with Harry in this movie. I still think Harry's a pretty good villain. And with all the setup for Harry, I think he did okay. And for Sandman, I just think he's in the medium right there. Just medium. Tobey Maguire, MJ, and Harry are good as ever. their chemistry and stuff. The actors are great. And we're seeing, like, a Peter Parker who's getting caught up in the fame, which is very interesting for me. So, I think it has potential, but it doesn't really pull it off. Okay. 8th place here is going to be Venom Let There Be Carnage. I considered putting this one a bit higher, but I don't think I'm 100% there. This was just a fun blockbuster kind of movie for me. Just a fun summer movie to watch. Venom and Eddie are together from the beginning, so you have great chemistry between them. The villain, Carnage, is really great. Woody Harrelson is great at doing this, like, insane guy. Shriek, she's fine, and just everything else, it moves super fast. It's only a hour and a half long, so it's really not that long, but it goes through stuff so fast that I can't 100% develop everything, but the plot is just bare bones minimum. The plot is, like, really not that great. It's basically Venom gets out, wants to kill Eddie, fails. That's about it. I mean, Carnage gets out and wants to kill Eddie, and then he fails. It's a very, very minor, down to just minimum plot. But the fun stuff is really fun. And you can have fun with these characters doing stuff, and that makes it a very entertaining movie, and also a nice blockbuster. And then the final fight and stuff, it's really good. Actually seeing these characters fight and this stuff go down, it might not be the greatest, like, developed film or anything. It's just a fun, stupid blockbuster, and it did everything that I liked from Venom, and it just did more of that. So that's why I just like this movie for some reason. 7th place here is going to be Spider-Man Far From Home. I think Spider-Man Far From Home, Mysterio, I think, is a pretty good villain, except that he has motivation from Tony Stark. Tom Holland and the rest of the cast are great in this movie. It's just high schoolers on a European vacation. But I feel like this movie, it tries to be like the funniest one of these movies, and it fails at that. It's just, the jokes are either too cheesy or too just mediocre, or sometimes they're just so weird. Like with the lady that's giving him a suit, and they think that he's doing funny business with her. Like, seriously, you have that as a joke, and the stuff that they do, the drones, they look okay. It looks amazing. It's the best looking movie on this list, but it isn't overall amazing because it can't pull off all this stuff. The jokes don't 100% work, the plot and everything, and it just feels like Iron Man is here. And just, if you think about it, why did Iron Man give Peter Parker Edith? Like, he was gone for 5 years. Peter Parker was gone for 5 years. And, like, Peter, he might be 5 years older, but no, Tony might have been 5 years older, but Peter is legitimately the same age. He's a high schooler. He's got stuff. And Mysterio makes sense because Mysterio's like, why would Tony Stark give it to Peter Parker? A high schooler. And that just doesn't make sense for me. I don't think it destroys it as much as it does for some people. I still enjoy this movie. But if you get down to the minimum, I just don't think that this movie just works for me. I just don't think it works that well. 6th place here is The Amazing Spider-Man. I'm just surprised that this movie is so high. I actually could have swapped Venom Let There Be Carnage, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Amazing Spider-Man. I think they're all just like the middle for here. In future rankings with rewatching, they could swap around a bit. Venom Let There Be Carnage could go up, or maybe it would go to Spider-Man Far From Home. I don't know. But Amazing Spider-Man right now is in the lead because I just find Andrew Garfield, this is my second time watching it. Just Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, the relationships are great, and the characters and stuff is like the bottom. The characters, other than Emma Stone and Peter Parker, the characters are the worst ever for Spider-Man people. And then for their relationship is so great. Lizard's just generic villain, but the relationships really hit me this time for some reason. I don't know. It just, the plot is okay. Spider-Man stuff, it's okay. It looks better than the Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man 3, but it just doesn't have exactly the same magic as those movies. But I think the relationship, Mark Webb is just really good with relationships in these movies. And I'm just saying relationships so much that I'm going to stop saying relationships. So let's go on to the next one. And just so you know, this top 5, I just love these movies here. Okay, I could just put them on and watch them, and I love them. So 5th place here is going to be Spider-Man Homecoming. And this movie, it's like the best Peter Parker kind of like in high school thing. Like, this seems like a modern actual version of a high school, where other versions, they didn't really go into this. This seems like a high school story. He's this high schooler. He's got high school friends, and you just have him, like, looking at girls and talking about what they're wearing. I'm in high school right now. I'm at right where that is. So, I'm feeling that, but I'm not actually going to high school, so that sucks. I'm not actually doing a homecoming, which, that sucks. I'm homeschooled, which is fine, but still, I could still relate with some of the stuff that is happening in this movie, and Vulture is just one of the best Spider-Man villains, as you're going to see in my ranking for them. I just think he works so well as this guy. He's just a dad who's trying to provide for his family. He got burned by, like, Tony Stark and the DA and stuff, and so he's just breaking the line, doing this stuff, and it's understandable. Like, at one point, you just get so burned that you just, like, burn out that you're just like, okay, I don't care, I'm just rebelling. And that's what he does, and he looks cool. He's really great, and I want to see him in more movies in the future. I don't know how he's going to be in Morbius, though. But Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Jacob are all great as Ned, MJ, and Peter. They're all great cast here in this movie. Pretty memorable characters. And a great villain. So, I think it's really good. Why it doesn't got to the top level because of the thing. Some of the jokes don't 100% go. The jokes work okay, but not 100%. And then, like, the final battle, they don't really have much of a final battle. The action isn't as good in this movie as it is in some ones. But I could sort of forgive that. Okay, 4th place here is going to be Spider-Man 2002, the original. A lot of people, this is their favorite. I didn't really grow up with this. I saw all these Spider-Man movies in the previous year. Maybe a year and a half. But I saw this one for the first time, and it blew me away. It was amazing. I'm saying amazing too much. It was spectacular. No, it was good. No, it was very great. It was very great. Okay, I've been talking for a while. I just finished doing my spoiler review for Spider-Man No Way Home, so I've been talking for like around an hour straight, maybe longer. So, yeah, anyway. Spider-Man 2002, it's just such a great movie, such a great origin story, and the CGI and stuff don't have to look as good. It's the characters and the story and the Uncle Ben. It's just so classic. It's so original. This is the classic original Spider-Man story. And it's just like, you have to have the beginning to everything. And this feels like the beginning of Spider-Man. This movie did so much for kicking off great. Like, this is the best CGI of the time, which is, for me, that's like, what? This looks really bad. We've come 20 years. This is 20 years ago, really? But, I'm fine with the CGI because I understand it. Green Goblin's great in this movie with Willem Dafoe, and all the characters that you see, they're so amazing. So that's why this movie is in 4th place. Just so you know, this top 3, it's really hard. Some people are gonna. I 100% agree that you guys are gonna disagree with me. So leave your ranking down below. I want to know, what is your favorite Spider-Man movie or your least favorite, or tell the entire ranking, whichever ones you've seen. I don't care. I know that we're gonna disagree because that's what it's so great about seeing other people's rankings. You get to see what they liked and why they resonated with other movies. And so, these are the reasons why I resonate with mine. Please comment down below the reasons for yours. So, also, I'm going to be doing a lot more rankings like this. So, come back, like, subscribe. Third place here is going to be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I have no idea why I didn't like this movie when I first saw it. Big surprise. But I didn't like it. And then I rewatched it and it blew my mind. So, it's coming in third here. Some people have it just a bit higher, but it is definitely a top 3 movie for just about everybody. Everybody could agree this is top 3. So, for me, I just absolutely love the animation. Lord and Miller are so great with these movies. Miles Morales is just like a breath of fresh air. We've had Peter Parker, Uncle Ben died. Now we get this fresh breath of air with Miles Morales, and you get a bunch of just great Spider-Men and Spider-Women. My favorite being, of course, Peter B. Parker, who has great moving, and you get to see, like, after, it can feel a bit like No Way Home in a way, because it has the multi-universe sort of stuff, but you do have the great version of Spider-Man, that he had everything better and more perfect, and then he died. Now you have this worst version of Spider-Man who's been beaten down, and he is going to get back up. And just the animation, the villains, the look, the themes, just this movie is amazing. I absolutely love it. And I feel mad at me that I didn't like it. It's just so mad at me. But it's amazing. I can't wait for the sequel now. Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. I'm going to be doing like 15 most anticipated movies of 2022. It's 100% going to be in there, people. I cannot wait for it. Okay, people, here's the... Okay, we're getting down to it. You know the 2 movies remaining. What am I going to do? Second place here is going to be Spider-Man 2. So, Spider-Man 2 originally was my favorite Spider-Man movie. I absolutely love Spider-Man 2. Alfred Molina as Doc Ock is so great as, like, single-handedly, like, top 3 best Spider-Man scenes of all time with the train scene. And then you just have Spider-Man, and it's sort of classic. It continues on with Spider-Man 1 stuff, and you have him lose his powers, and you have him go get him, Tiger, at the end. You have MJ. It begins with MJ, and then it ends with MJ, with first and final shot. The humor in this movie is the best. I think the characters in this movie are the best. The tension in this movie, it's just the best. This movie is the best of the Tobey trilogy, of the Sam Raimi trilogy. And it means so much to me. It's so great. The CGI, it seems more like it could actually happen. Like, the CGI, I think, is actually pretty good in this movie. And it's so great of a movie. I absolutely love this movie. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. But we can only have one winner. And for me, right now, I gotta go. Spider-Man No Way Home is coming in first. I know it's the new one. I know it's nostalgia. I know it's fan service. But for me, this movie was amazing. It was... it was mind-blowing how good this movie was. It was my most anticipated movie of the entire year. And it lived up to that. It is so great. Okay, spoilers if you haven't seen it. Skip like 10 seconds. It gives us Toby and Andrew, and it's so emotional when Aunt May dies. Okay. But when that stuff happens, it is so potent and gut-wrenching and emotional, and it starts a new era of Spider-Man, which I can't wait to see. Spider-Man is no longer a high schooler. He has moved on. He is going into the 20s. He's going to be fighting crime in New York, beating up guys, maybe fighting with Daredevil, maybe meeting a Venom. I can't wait to see where that goes. Just this movie, the villains. I think it improves upon every single villain that it introduces, that it brings back, except for Sandman. Sandman, I don't think it improves on that much. Lizard, it improves on because he's a bit better than he was in his movie. He was forgettable. Now he's a bit more memorable. Electro is the greatest improved villain in this. Electro, originally, for my villains list that's coming out, I don't know, soon. The villains list, originally he was in, like, bottom 4. Now I want to put him in top 10. So it's just so amazing what they did with that. Alfred Molina as Doc Ock is still the great scientist who lost his mind, and then he gets his mind back, and he's a great scientist once again, and he's so great back in the role. And then Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe, he crushes it. He's the standout villain in this movie. He's the best villain in this movie. I'm not going to spoil where he's on the villains list, but he has moved up even more. So, I absolutely love this movie. And all three Spider-Man, the banter, what they did, the characters, the deaths, the lives, the cameos. The cameos work so well in this movie because you see all these great characters, but it doesn't, some of the cameos you could just go by like that. But other ones, they go for it. They give you everything that you wanted for this movie. It pays it off. I don't know in the future, it might just be fan service. It might be just in the moment. But I've only seen it once, and I gotta say, this is my favorite Spider-Man movie. I love it so much. Anyway, leave your comments down below. What do you think of my list? What's your list? What did you think of Spider-Man No Way Home or these other movies? And just, what do you think? Just tell me. Like, subscribe to Max Reviews. Well, I think I'm going to stop recording now. I've been recording for like an hour. Okay, Brayden out.